Hey, this is Alexa Peterson with the Hitting Vaults. I'm going to be doing a swing analysis on Albert Pujols. So in his first 18 previous seasons, he's had multiple years where he hit over 330. He's 3-time MVP, 10-time All-Star. But since 2012, he hasn't hit over 300. So it has a lot of people wondering why. How can he be so good and then be on the decline for so long? So we're going to take a look at his swing from 2005 and also his current swing, which is over on the right. So this current swing, he just made him move into 5th place on the all-time RBI list with 1,993 RBIs. So let's take a look here. Starting stance looks to be about the same. He's a hitter that's a little bit more upright. So you'll see when he loads, he gets a little bit more torso tilt in his load. But starting stance looks about the same. Going to the load. He loads a lot with his torso, kind of leaning over a little bit more down and in. His barrel becomes more vertical from where it was. Go over here on the right. Same thing right here. You could argue maybe his leg kick is a little bit higher, but doesn't look very much higher. He had years where he just picked up his heel and then put it right back down. So he's had some changes in his swing throughout the years in terms of his leg kick, either having one or not. It's probably most likely something that's tried to help him with his timing. But this is from 2005 on the left, when he hit well over 300, and this is his one on the right from just the other day. So you see he still has his front shoulder working down and in. His barrel is working more vertical, just like that. Angle-wise, I think, just so you know, I think this camera angle is a little bit more straight on. This camera angle is a little bit more to the side, a little bit more from left center angle in. So that's why it might look like his hands are further from his body, but really I think it's it's about the same there. He goes forward into his launch position right there, and those look pretty much just about the same. Front shoulder down and in, a little bit of bend in his front knee. His back knee is maybe a little bit lower than than the one on the right is. This pitch ends up being a little bit higher in the zone. This one ends up being a little bit lower, just so you have an idea. But he still gets to a great launch position. You want to have torso tilt here, leaned over. We don't want to be straight up and down. We don't want our back shoulder to have dropped yet. And we'll see a side angle here in a minute that will show you that great position as well. Going forward, you see his hips rotating, his belt buckle getting to the pitcher before contact point. Right there, he's in about the same position. This is, again, a little bit outside of a pitch. This ends up being a little more middle. So you see his back elbow a little bit further from his body versus this one's closer. Overall, that position looks almost identical. Go forward to contact position. About the same body positioning there. He's firmed up his front side more. You see torso. He's maintained his shoulder tilt. You're seeing more torso tilt and shoulder tilt here because this pitch is lower versus this one's a little bit higher in the zone. So you're seeing his barrel flatter. But his belt buckle got to the pitcher. His body sequence looks good. He's released his backside, which we'll be able to see a little better from the side angle. So move on to that angle. Alright, so side angle here. Starting stance. He's a little wider over here than over here. But everything else pretty much looks about the same. Front shoulder slightly lower than his back shoulder. That's important as hitters. Make sure that we're nice and balanced with our weight. So he's kind of a little more sitting, you could say, sitting a little bit more into his legs than he is over here on the right. Hands might be a little further back, but not much. Going to the load. See that front shoulder working down and in, his barrel working more vertical. And he starts to go forward, gets that good launch position right there, where his front shoulder is slightly down and in, back shoulder is slightly up. You see some bend in his front knee, and distance between his feet is about 50% of his height on both of those. Bend right there. His knob is kind of down towards the catcher a little bit. Barrel a little bit more vertical. So his positioning there looks about the same. So you could argue that the starting position that he's in, he has less movement with his front foot as he picks up. His leg pickup is a little bit less over here on the left in his old swing versus his new swing. So maybe, it could be an issue with timing, like just being able to figure out exactly what works with him with his timing, because he's still getting to a good launch position, which is really important for hitters to get to, because that sets you up for the rest of your swing, being able to adjust to inside, outside, different pitches, locations, all of that. So this position is really important, and he's getting to a good launch position still. So if we move forward into bat path here, belt buckle, you can see his belt buckle is going towards the pitcher. He's working his barrel, getting on plane really early. Right back here, depending on this pitch, this pitch is a little bit more middle than this one was. So that could be why with his hands being a little closer, you're seeing him not working quite as far back, because that back elbow has to work a little closer than that outside pitch. You get to contact position. Looks about the same. Just this pitch was a little higher, so you're seeing his shoulders a little flatter. This one was a little bit lower, so you're seeing more tilt there. Contact position looks good. Notice his back foot. In both of these, his back foot releases off the ground. It becomes weightless, and he doesn't squish the bug. There's no bugs being squished until right there, after the swing. That's when that back heel and that weight can kind of come back down. But during the middle part of the swing, that back foot is becoming weightless as he's rotating and going into a firmer front side. So overall, as you can see, there's not much different in between those two swings. So that gets you thinking and wondering, why has he declined so much? And it could be a lot of things. It could be his timing is off, like we saw with his front foot picking up right there. He has a little bit more of a higher leg kick. He's starting a little more in his legs than he used to. So his timing could be a little bit off. It could be mental. He's had a lot of injuries in the past, so that could be having a long-term effect on him. And also just the fact that he's getting older. He's been playing this is his 19th season. So could be a combination of all those things. We don't really know. But regardless, he's still going to go down as one of the best hitters in baseball, and is a good example of body mechanic-wise of how we want our body to move to be able to hit for average and power.